5th, 2017. Grace, peace, love, and blessings to you. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you feel inspired. Life is about keeping yourself motivated, keeping yourself inspired, and pushing forward. That's what it's about. Never forget it. And what I want to share with you today is failure and how to deal with it. All of us, no matter how smart we are, no matter how strong we are, no matter how beautiful we are, all of us fail. And learning to deal with failure is a key part of one is your well-being, because nothing will hurt you like your own self-inflicted wounds that you do to yourself after you fail. When I failed in relationships and with money and with everything else, the first thing I do when I fail, I know I fucked up, is I beat myself up. I talk bad to myself. So why'd you fucking do that? Why'd you do that? So the first part of failure is talking good to yourself. It's talking well to yourself. Learning to feel the pain of failure, but yet still talking to yourself as if you love yourself. That's key. That shifts your mindset from chaos, blame, hurt, destruction to the very first step of healing. The first step of healing is compassion. And compassion to yourself. Grace to yourself. Sarah, the beautiful Sarah from California. Love and respect to Sarah. Hey, Sam. I'm so busy. I am missing the live sessions. That's okay. I want you to live your life. I always watch later, though. Thank you. Sending positive love and vibes. I appreciate that, Sarah. Love and respect to you, beautiful. Love and respect. And so, learning how to talk to ourselves after we fail is key. Key for the first step of healing. And so everyone fails, period. And we think intelligent people, very smart people that know how to play the game of life don't fail. That's bullshit. Elon Musk, the guy who basically developed Tesla, the electrical car company, that company was on the brink of failure until it got a government subsidy to keep it alive. So without that bailout, without that subsidy, without that, it's a bailout. Without that, he would have never been who he is now. Everybody worships this guy, that he is so intelligent, he's so great. But if he would have ran out of money, and if someone else hadn't shown him grace, he wouldn't be who you think he is. The list goes on. I mean, the famous people, the Michael Jordans, Albert Einstein, all these other people. I'm going to go through a list of some people, but I want to be very clear. Sometimes we think that people who got to a certain level in society, whether through intelligence, whether through athletic ability, whether through their beauty, whatever it is, we think that they're smarter than the average person. And certainly there's different levels of intelligence, there's just different levels of beauty. But the path to success, no matter how you shape it, is paved with failure. And the only thing we can control is how do we handle failure. The first step, speaking well to yourself. The second step is realizing since the beginning of time, no matter what it is, successful people have failed. And it doesn't matter what an individual person's belief system is. People of all religions have failed. People of all different political spectrums failed. Hillary Clinton, she failed miserably. I mean, how many times did she run for office and fail? Trump, how many times? He claimed bankruptcy a few times. So again, it's both sides. All people fail. Failure is not, and sometimes we think that because people in our society know how to play the game, we confuse that with that they're better than us. They're not better than. Nobody's better than you. People are different than you. And so when you understand that the common thread, no matter what spectrum of life a person comes from, no matter what political beliefs, no matter what religious beliefs, no matter what, financial beliefs, no matter what belief system, one common thread through people who really persevere to success, to a certain level of success. And success, never forget it, success is how you define it. And that's another part of understanding failure. Don't let society shape your version of success. If you do, you'll be chasing waterfalls. Remember TLC? That's what they meant. You're chasing waterfalls. Because you won't be happy until you're Kim Kardashian. You're chasing waterfalls. Because guess what? She's not happy. She's insecure at times. How many marriages has Kim Kardashian been through? 3? How about J-Lo? She's been married at least 3 times. She's got kids with a husband she's not with anymore. Now she's J-Rod. Now she's with Alex Rodriguez. How long is that going to last? Is it to judge them? No. But what I want to point out is the failure rate of all people. No matter how much society puts them on a pedestal, they go through that pain. They go through that embarrassment. And sometimes people have more money and more stature to cover it up, and they can throw on a bunch of makeup, they can get lip surgery, or they can, recover and open up another business. And we think, oh, they're not like me. Something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you. Learning to speak well to yourself will increase your quality of life 100%. Scott Beeman, putting all my efforts into doing things that inspire me, to inspire myself lately. Thanks to you opening up my eyes. Well, thank you, Scott. And one, I just lit the match to the fire that is already inside you. So you just opened your eyes to yourself. Never forget that. Just like other people did for me when they inspired me, it's about what's already inside you, not me. So if I go away tomorrow, it was always inside you. And so you keep that fire burning. Keep that fire burning, brother. Thank you, Scott, for that comment. And so to keep, like my brother Scott said, for his inspiration, he's starting to really get himself inspired, and that's wisdom. To do that, to keep your mindset there, to keep your well-being there, you have to learn how to handle failure. Speaking well to yourself, realizing everyone fails, and then defining your own version of success. Certainly, some people look at me and they think I'm not successful. They don't know some of my bank accounts, but they look at me like how I'm living, and they say, oh, this guy's not successful. I was in Atlantic City today, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I spent some time with my mom. I don't gamble anymore as far as in the casinos. I take some risky investments, so that could be considered a level of gambling, so I don't want to be a hypocrite. But I don't gamble in the casinos anymore. But from time to time, when I spend time with my mother, I'll take her, because she likes to play the slots a little bit. I mean, whatever. I'll go with her. I'll get her something to eat. She likes to eat there. And then I'll take her around the casino. I'll let her, do the slots. So we're doing the slots. I mean, and I understand that scene. I've been in that scene when I was younger. And people are in Atlantic City. They're dressed to the nines. I mean, you know what I mean? They got the high heels on. They got all the makeup. Everything's fitting right. And I was looking at some chicks. And then you got the guys. They got the tailored suits on. Because it's a whole mirage. There's even a casino named the Mirage. I mean, come on. There's this whole mirage in casinos on defining what success looks like. These people are dressed up to the nines. They're dressed up immaculate. They have expensive clothes on. And they're defining success by dressing nice, by speaking well, by being proper, and, by flashing money. And I've been there. But what I'm trying to tell you is, here I am, and I was even in a bummier shirt. And I was like I was just in sweats, chilling. I'm at the point in my life, I don't care. I'm in my sweats, chilling. My mom's doing whatever. She's chilling. And we're sitting at the cafe. And, my mom gets a little something. I get, a coffee. And I'm just observing that. And how these people define success. And I know through living that life that 90% of them are failing. 90% of those people in that casino are failing. And you'll see that look in their eyes. You'll see their, JPM Lawn Care, I see you at work, but you're in my ear. I respect you. You're in my heart, JPM Lawn Care. Thank you for checking in. Respect and love to South Carolina. Listen, South Carolina has more than south of the border off I-95. All right? So respect JPM Lawn Care. God bless. Now, but what I'm saying is, I see the look in people's eyes after they've spent hours gambling in the casino. When they exit the elevator to the parking lot, it's the look of death. Sailing, John. Love and respect you, brother. I see you. I see the look in people's eyes when they get ready to leave the casino. It's death. It's failure. Dressed to the nine, looking like success, but it's failure. Again, we all fail. So is it in judgment of them? No, because I've been there. But what I want to tell you is that they went there with the wrong mindset. Of one is their version of success may be different than yours. Okay, so part of handling failure is defining what you think success looks like. Because I'm telling you, I believe, in my opinion, many of those people in that casino, just like I was for many years, have bought into the version of society success. Up to the gold pillars, the Trump plazas, you come in, there's a doorman waiting to send you up. I lived in a gated community. I used to, like that, you know what I mean? If you wanted to see me, you had to check with the security guard. And I'm not against that, but I'm just saying that that's the society version of success. Nothing wrong with it, but I want you to understand that if that's not for you, if that is for you, then do you. But if that's not for you, understand that part of failure is just defining success wrong. Because part of being yourself, part of loving life, part of enjoying life is saying, all right, this is what success means to me. And that will keep you in the right trajectory, in the right direction in life. Let me just say that. And also what I want to share is when you fail, you will fail, period. We all fail. I fail. That lesson, Andrea, love to you, and Deb, love to you. Oh, that's Glam Gypsy, love and respect. Glam Gypsy with the high fashion, and Deb from New Hampshire, love and respect, Deb. I see you. Part of failure, the lesson is empathy, compassion. You will never truly have a soft spirit until you have failed. Success breeds arrogance, and failure breeds compassion. But here's the key. Too much over compassion, too much pity party theory, too much, everybody should be lovey-dovey. There has to be a balance between them. Because you have to learn how to fail, have compassion, have empathy, then pick yourself back up. That starts with talking well to yourself. Okay? Not beating yourself up after you fail, talking well to yourself. Defining success for yourself, not what the society version is. And then as you get back up, not becoming a person that loses all confidence. Because I want to be very clear, to keep pushing forward in life, you need a level of confidence. You cannot walk around with your head down trying to be an overly compassionate person, in one sense of speaking. Please understand what I'm saying in context. I see people, because they get hit in the face, they walk around, and I'm talking about this is now like a parable. It's like an analogy. It's not literally. People get hit in the face from life, and we all do, myself included. And they allow that to take all the thunder out of their spirit. You need that thunder. Believe me. And so any business person will tell you, any honest business person, having a business and they know it's failure. There's guaranteed years where you will fail. You won't make money. Guaranteed. And so learning to take that blow of life, learning to regroup, and then still have enough confidence in yourself to try again is key. Now, sometimes, too, we need to be conscious of how much risk we're taking, because failure usually comes when we take too high of risk. So, in any aspect of speaking, there's no guarantees in life, period. So, you can't grow in a guaranteed formula. There's no, all right, this is what you do. You do X, Y, Z, and you're guaranteed 100% success. That's not real life. And you'll never grow like that. You never grow. To grow, you have to take levels of risk. But you have to change jobs sometimes, and that's risky. You can change jobs, and you may fail. That job may be shit after you change it, but it may not. And you may have to change 2-3 times. You may go for a certain certification, and you may fail the first time. I've shared before, I failed 3 different times taking my electrical contractor state license. So After when I first tried, I was like, well, I'm just going to take a shot at it. Took a shot at it, fail. Second time, I got a little bit better, fail. Third time, I was very close, fail. Then it's like, how much failure can you take too? Because then you start, after you get hit a couple times by life, then you'll start to question your confidence. And you have to be careful. Because what I believe God's trying to show us is humility. I do believe he's trying to show us compassion and empathy. You are not a great leader, in my opinion. You do not have great success, how I define it, if you don't have a foundation of compassion and empathy. That's huge. And you're not being honest. Because like I said, I can go off the list of people all the way from Trump to Clinton to Elon Musk to everybody in between, to Albert Einstein to Michael Jordan, and they all failed miserably. They had the grace and they had the talents to get back up and persevere, so they should be acknowledged, all of them, for that. All of them. Not one of them, all of them should be acknowledged. Because, Trump should be acknowledged that the guy didn't give up, he kept fighting. He even acknowledged Hillary Clinton. He said at the end of the debates, he said she was a fighter. And Elon Musk should be admired because, he could have took his first couple his millions that he made from PayPal. He was one of the original founders of PayPal. You know what PayPal is. And so he could have took his millions and just chilled on the beach, but he persevered. He wanted to start another company. It almost went bankrupt, Tesla. He got a government subsidy and it brought him back to life. So all these people should be admired, not because they're any smarter than you necessarily, and not because they're better than you. They're different than you. They're different than me. But because of the level of perseverance. Perseverance is needed to overcome failure, the fall and the get back up. Relationships. Like I said, how many times did J-Lo get divorced? Lots. Kim Kardashian, lots. Many people have been through many relationships and they keep fucking up. Now, certainly, if you have continued cycles of unhealthy relationships, should you keep doing the same cycle? No, it's not easy, but you should try to see what those cycles are. And then, if it's your dream, if how you define success is being in a loving relationship and maybe having a family, that's a beautiful dream. Just because I'm single and I don't want to deal with that shit, don't let me define your life. You define your own life. You define your own version of success. And I know a lot of people, and it's a blessing. A lot of people I know, their dream is to have a loving family, to raise their kids, and that's what they like to do. They like to entertain during the holidays, etc. Now, do any of these people have relationships without failure? No. I know them because, believe me, I talk to a lot of these people. They fail all the time. And they tell me like, fucking shit, wife's unthankful, husband's pain in the ass, etc., etc. But the people that I've seen, some people are just straight miserable. I'm not gonna pander to either. There's some people in a relationship that I think they're just staying there because they're fucking miserable. But some people, once in a while, I meet somebody that has overcome failure in their relationship. And what I see as their common thread is, one, both people agree to persevere past mistakes, past failures. One side or the other failed in a relationship, or both, and they're willing to work it back because they're in agreement. If you're not in agreement, then it's not, because that's a different type of failure. When you're dealing with an individual life failure, such as starting your own business or, something to do with your own choices, that's your level of control. When you're doing a joint venture, whether it's in a business or in a relationship, then part of that overcoming of failure means that then both people have to then be united in their mindset and then going forward together. Because if you can be like, all right, we're going to get past these mistakes, we're going to deal with failure, etc. But if the other person isn't on that same level, then you can't do it. So there's a different dynamic. But what I want to encourage you about is there is another opportunity for another relationship, whether it's with that person or with someone else. What I don't want to do for myself, what I wouldn't recommend anyone doing is saying, all right, I failed, I'm horrible in relationships, I fucking suck. Now, certainly I want you to be honest, okay? If you know relationships aren't for you and that you don't have the desire, that's number one. You don't have the desire to make it a goal to be in a relationship, then you need to stay out of them. But if you have a desire that even though you're not good in relationships, but you want to get better, first step to healing is talk to yourself well. So, this is what I would say rather than saying I'm a horrible person to be in a relationship with. I would say that I have been a very hard person to be in a relationship with. This is what I've learned, and this is what I want to try to do to be better, because I have a desire, I have a goal to be in a healthy relationship. You see the difference? You see the difference in how you talk to yourself? That's huge. And, that's applied to every type of life failure. Talking to yourself well. Mental health. Well-being. Because you need that to persevere in life. You think, people that are in the limelight, you think that, if you think they don't read the comments on their social media, you think they don't read the backlash in their regular media? Certainly they do. On all sides of the spectrum, everybody gets beat up. There's no one that goes through life without getting beat up. Jesus got beat up, okay? Martin Luther King got beat up. Everybody gets beat up. And you could go through the list of names. I mean, come on, Gandhi got beat up. Everybody was persecuted in one sense for different things that society perceived, either one, they failed, or two, they did fail. And so learning how to be your own best friend is part of healing. It's part of handling failure. And if you're wrong, then you admit you're wrong, you're humble enough to do it, and then but you also talk to yourself well, you don't beat yourself up. That's huge that's huge, period. I'm going to read a couple comments. Milano, love and respect to Miami. If you go to a casino, do not expect making any money. Casino is just have a good time and watch people play, gambling, and enjoy it. Well, I agree with that. One is, yes, I mean, if you're going to gamble, if you're going to take any risk, you should not risk more than you're willing to lose. Now, we all certainly still do. Once you get caught in the tornado of that emotion, we overextend ourselves, okay? So, compassion if you do, and there's going to be plenty of times that you walk out of that casino, like I did in my youth, where you get beat up. But that's definitely the key to any type of risky venture, especially gambling. I mean, it's just entertainment. I mean, some people say, well, how is it entertainment to give your money away? I mean, that's your own personal decision. Like I said, I'll share my perspective, but I just wanted to share that experience because my observation today at the casino was not looking at people and saying they're wrong for gambling, because I gambled for years and I still gamble with other investments. But what I want to share is that how failure begins when you allow society or someone else to dictate what you believe success looks like. Because again, then you go back to the mindset of you're chasing waterfalls. You are chasing someone else's version of success, and that's a guarantee failure. Okay, so just be careful with that. Deb, people need to be honest with themselves and others. Yes, being honest with yourself is key. So there is a way to talk loving to yourself while still being honest to yourself. And you have to be both. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to have that compassion, but then you also have to have that realistic mindset that, look, I fucked up. I made a mistake. I have to apologize. I was wrong. I'll grow from this. A lot of times now I try to train myself is like, when I mess up, because I still mess up and you will always mess up, failure does not go away. It's part of life, part of keeping us a little bit humble, and it's part of helping us all relate so we can all encourage one another. I try to have a mindset of, all right, you're okay, Sam. It's all right. We'll learn from this. We'll grow. And certainly if I've been in those cycles in that mindset where I know I'm going to do the same thing again because I'm not ready to move on past that. So it's a complex thing, failure. But my main core message is 1, compassion. Is 2, empathy. And is 3, encouragement to push forward. And knowing that you're not alone. And that throughout history, very, very successful people have failed. I'm going to give you a list now of some people, that have documented failures, and that it's good to just know some history of some people that have obtained great things and how they failed and then how they've overcome that failure. Deb, gambling is everywhere. Yes, it's a part of everything now. Yes. And so easily accessible now online, probably will always be everywhere, but prompted more now. Yes, I agree with that. I mean, gambling, prostitution, all human nature desires have been around since the beginning of time. That's documented. So nothing new under the sun. But I think once we get an understanding of greed, then we're able to hopefully control ourselves to a level. Then once we get an understanding of defining our own success, like if your version of success is that you just want to live a content life, you want to strive to do more, but you're not trying to make $1 million in one day. I think when you have that disciplined mind and when you're a level of content and when you're not in like a greedy mind, then I think you move past that. Like I said, the mindset I saw at the casino today was, I want to make $1 million, and my version of success is dressing nice and walking in the room and all eyes on me. And I've been there. And so when you have that mindset, it's that craving that there's never going to be enough for you. Just like same thing, and I failed with food. When you have the mindset of, I'm hitting the McDonald's for the fries, I'm going to Wendy's for the spicy chicken sandwich, and then I'm going to Carvel to get chocolate chip mint ice cream. It's that mindset of just overindulgence, of lack of self-control. And that's failure. And I failed. So the first step beyond that, when you overeat or when you overspend or when you fail in a certain area, is learning how to talk to yourself. Not saying, oh, I'm a fat bastard. Look at me. I'm so... Don't talk to yourself like that. I mean, many people I talk to, and they're assholes. I'm not going to... And they say, like, look, I know I'm an asshole. Now, I'm glad that they admit they're an asshole. But what I really would like to hear is that, look, I struggle in this area. I want to try to get better. Okay? You see the difference on how... That's the biggest step, man. How do you talk to yourself? Because how you talk to yourself, to me, it shows a level of repentance, a level of humility, and a level of wanting to be better. Like, I can deal with somebody saying, look, Sam, look, I'm an asshole. I'm trying to get better. It's not easy for me. Rather than just say, I'm an asshole. That's how I am. Accept it or move on. I'm out of there. I don't want to deal with that. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, like, if I'm getting paid to deal with it, I'll deal with it. But, like, in my personal life, no way. So, I mean, how someone talks to themselves, to me, shows how they handle failure, and it shows me their character. And that's why it is a big part. I discern character on how someone handles failure. Is someone so pompous and such an asshole that they speak down upon other people when they screw up in life, but then when they screw up, just like, oh, well, that's all part of it. You know what I mean? I mean, certainly, like I said, I don't want people to walk around like with their tail between their legs. I want you to be assertive. I want you to be passionate. I am. But you have to have moments like such as this video. I try to balance myself where you recognize that all of us, myself included, fail. So one is, let's all respect each other from the level of compassion and empathy. Okay? 2 is, let's learn how to talk to ourselves. And 3 is, let's learn how to keep a level of confidence to push forward. Very important. I want to go to something I pulled up online. I want to read through a little bit of a list here of people who have failed and how they've overcome it. So it gives you 21 people. I ain't going through all 21. I'll pick out a couple people that I like, okay? And then we'll go from there. So the number one person on this website is the top 21 failures of all time, blah, 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 blah. It's Albert Einstein. They say one of the greatest thinkers of our time didn't speak until he was 4 years old. He also failed his entrance exam in college, some college school they referenced, and even his father, up until the time of his death, considered his son to be a major failure. After eventually graduating college, Einstein actually worked as an insurance salesman, but quit after some time because he failed at that as well. So Albert Einstein, people worship this guy. I mean, how many quotes do you see online on Instagram and all this other stuff of people loving, people worshiping Albert Einstein? And that's what we have to remember. All successful people, no matter what walk of life, no matter what belief system, they have that common thread. What other common thread do they have? Perseverance. Very important. Let me read another one. Beyonce made number 2. So they say, with a net worth of $500 million, Beyonce is one of the most successful recording artists in history. She sold over 17 million albums as a solo artist and another 17 million as a member of Destiny's Child. When she was 9 years old, her group Girls Tyme appeared on Star Search, remember Star Search, and lost. In 1996, after signing with Columbia Records, the group had a huge internal drama, forcing the departure of two others. So Beyonce, I mean, many people know Beyonce. She's a great artist, musical artist. You know, in the beginning of her come up, she failed. Remember Star Search? I remember that with Ed McMahon. Remember that? She lost there. Then I remember when they had Destiny's Child and when they had that big breakup and a couple girls went the wrong way. She persevered. And I remember just as a little bit as 3 years ago, remember when her and Jay-Z were in the elevator and they had the big fight and they were getting ready to break up, and now they both admit that they were on a verge of divorce? Here's at one point what was considered the most beautiful woman in the world, Beyonce, one of the wealthiest, famous, and she was on the verge of divorce after having kids with someone. You know how painful that is? You know how painful that failure is? And so everyone goes through that. No one is immune to failure in this world. Very powerful, very powerful. Deb, it's sad when parents regard their children as failures. Now I hear that. Or consider one to be less important than the other. That's huge. I have seen that many times where parents favor a child. All children are different. And some children are assholes. There's Cain and Abel. I want to be clear. But trying to not show favoritism to some extent is wisdom. And it's not easy as a parent, so love and respect. That happened to my husband, okay? And his father, by his father, the cycle repeated. That's right. But you are responsible to break that cycle. Accountability is the first step to wisdom and self-growth. If you don't want to break, the only way to break a cycle is say, I'm accountable for me. I may have had some bad shit dealt to me, but I'm accountable for me. You know who I see You know the people I see, including my own family, repeat vicious cycles? They blame their parents for everything. Or they blame this for everything. They blame an unthankful person. I don't want to be around those type of people. Because we all fail, but what's the difference? Attitude? Okay? There's no way an unthankful person is going to persevere. Not going to happen. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen the unthankful. They don't talk to themselves well. They're assholes to you and they're assholes to themselves. Why? Because you treat others how you treat yourself. You treat others how you treat yourself. You're not going to be compassionate to others if you're an asshole to yourself. Certainly not. Certainly not. And so be very careful when you're dealing with that type of person. They're not ready to, or they don't have the mental capacity to deal with failure. And so God's grace be with them, but you have to move on with your life. You are responsible for you. Never forget it. Oh, Legend go. What's going on, Legend? Hey, Sam, many years ago, at 12 years old, I was running in a race at school. And in the front, remember that? Okay. In the front, but fading at the end. I pretended to trip because I didn't want to lose. Felt bad for days after. Well, you have just healed yourself again. Why? Because you honestly evaluated and you took accountability for your life. Legend, you've just healed and you've grown. And you've healed everybody else in this room. The Bible says that when you confess your sins, it has two purposes. One is for your own healing and for the healing of others. And I don't mean about going in a booth to a priest. I mean sharing your failures. That brings healing to you and to others. And how I just read that comment, you talk to yourself well. God bless you, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And remember that episode of Seinfeld? I like Seinfeld. You guys know that who watch me. Remember that episode where he acted like he won the race, but he got a head start. He got a head start, and then he raced the guy again in the street. But then, like, a car backfired because Kramer was driving, and he won again. Remember that? That was a good episode. Legend. Now, many years later, I have always fought to the bitter end and was well known in my sport for doing it many times. 450 plus trophies later. Amen. Perseverance. Perseverance is part of overcoming failure. First is admitting, talking well to yourself, showing compassion to others. Now, you know what the big thing is for Legendo and everybody else who succeeded? If you're really being a blessing of a person, is that now that you've won 450 trophies, or now that you're a millionaire, or now that you're a CEO of whatever, you should be able to lead with compassion and empathy. Because you know what failure tastes like, and failure tastes horrible. When I failed in life, I felt so bad about myself. I'm not going to say like how I used to talk to myself, but I'm telling you, I felt so bad about myself that I would shame myself. And so, but what that's for is so that when you do succeed, if you persevere, then you remember that pain. And that you don't allow the success to make you a pompous asshole. Not if you want to be a person of character. And that's how I define success. Not just, winning trophies, not just making money, but also character. And I saw how Legend wrote his comment. That's character. That's character. And that's part of success for me. You do what you want. Deb, that's great, Legend. No, you learn life's lessons at such a young age. Yes, the younger you can learn, the earlier. Sailing, John, I apologize. I missed your comment. Hey, Sam, isn't a good way to learn? Isn't a good way to learn? Yes, failure is the only way to learn, in my opinion. Not the only way. Let me correct myself. Failure is a big way to learn. Because you can learn theory, and you can learn from other people's mistakes, and you can learn from studying and researching, but you will never learn as much as when you get hit in the face. Nothing substitute for that. Like they used to tell people who play sports, you can practice all you want, and practice is beneficial, but there's nothing like game speed. There's nothing like getting in the game and simulating that speed. You will never understand it until you get in the game. And you will never really, you can shoot like a million threes, like in practice with nobody like really guarding you, but when you're in the game and it's real time and somebody's defending you and the crowd's booing you and the shot clock's going off and the band's playing, that's a whole nother level. And until you fail, like Michael Jordan, he missed like one of the most game-winning shots he missed. People only remember him for the ones he made. And that's what he said. I failed. That's one of Michael Jordan's quotes. I failed over and over again. And because of that, I've succeeded. That's powerful. Legendo, had to dig in many times when in trouble and proud of it. You can learn to become a new you. You can learn to become a new you. Talk to yourself well. Show compassion to yourself. I agree with that. So many of us so many of us good at life in theory. Yes, that's true, but not in practice. In doing and keeping on, seeing things through a completion accomplishment. That's correct. And that's why I want to make this video as a reminder to myself and to all of us to keep us centered, that anybody in a positive light that wants to move forward, we must, one is always keep failure as part of our understanding through compassion, through empathy, through life experience, so that we can look at life through the right lens and not through a greedy lens, not through an asshole lens. We can still be confident, but yet we can see life in proper perspective, and we stay grounded, we stay humbled, and then we know what to value. Part of failure is knowing what to value. What was that movie with Lampoon's Vacation, when the family went to like Las Vegas and the guy lost everything in the casino, and then at the end of the movie he was with his wife and his children, and his children wanted to do their own thing, and the wife ended up like dating like what was that singer? She ended up dating like that Las Vegas singer, Wayne Newton, and then at the end when he lost all his money, the family came together. And through his failure of losing, what he learned was the value was in his family. Failure teaches us what to value. And there's no way of and family isn't always value. Let me tell you something. I'm going to make a whole live stream about family is not blood, so please don't get that twisted. But what I want to tell you is loved ones, people who love you back, and people who are in a healthy relationship. He learned where to place his value and where to shoot to gain success. Very powerful. Very powerful. Legendo said, thank you, Deb. Thank you very much. Yeah, respect that love and compassion. Let me read a couple other people. Bill Gates. So we know Bill Gates, one of the founders of Microsoft, okay? Bill Gates had amassed a mind-boggling net worth of close to $80 billion and is known as the infamous father of modern personal computing software. He brought us operating systems such as Microsoft, Windows, etc., Excel, PowerPoint, that was all developed mainly by his company. However, at the age of 17 years old, his first software company called Traft-O-Data, which analyzed rough traffic logs, failed. Many people who've opened a business, their first one usually doesn't succeed. Why? Because you have to go through failure to learn what to do better. Very, very powerful. But the problem is sometimes people take too much risk their first time out and then they're not able to recover. Or two is they allow that failure to soak in their spirit rather than persevering past it. And again, I want to emphasize how you talk to yourself after you fail is part of healing. You need to heal so you can regroup, refocus, and then start again. Maybe start a new company, maybe start a new family, maybe start a new relationship. I don't want to define success for you. I want to help us all, myself included, learn how to handle failure, showing compassion to ourselves, being honest and acknowledging it, and then perseverance, pushing forward. Okay? Let's see who else we can find out here. I'm not going to read Dr. Seuss's on here. I ain't reading that. Henry Ford. We know Henry Ford, Ford Automobiles. Okay? So Henry Ford is the father of the automobile and quite possibly one of the most famous industrialists to have ever lived. He helped bring transportation to masses in America and throughout the world. But his start was far from noteworthy. Ford's first company went bankrupt. His second company also went south, when after a dispute with partners, he was forced to walk away with only the rights to his name. So here's another successful person. Henry Ford failed in his first two businesses. You're seeing a common theme through successful people, all the way from the president all the way down, of people who have failed, but yet they have persevered. That's powerful. Let you know, Sam, you're a fast thinker. Thank you for that grace. I appreciate that grace and love, and a tremendous skill to have. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you also have skills. I appreciate the love. Thank you, Legend Go. Jim Carrey. Now, Jim Carrey's also on a list here of people who have endured failure and have overcome it. Now, again, please know that whenever I'm mentioning the name, if you don't like that person or if you don't disagree with them, you have to learn to separate your personal feelings about that person and still learn a principle. Sometimes when I say Hillary Clinton, people don't want to learn anything from her life. Sometimes when I say Donald Trump, people don't want to learn anything from his life. Sometimes when I say, Kim Kardashian, people don't want to learn anything from her life. You'd be a fool, an arrogant fool, to just because you don't like someone, not be able to learn from their life. You don't have to agree with somebody. You can debate them. You can, even come against them. But you first have to understand and take away any valuable things you can learn from other people's lives. That's a level of humility. That's a level of fair-mindedness. And that's key to self-growth. Okay, so Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is a comedic legend. I like Jim Carrey. He started off on In Living Color. At least that's how I knew him. Remember, In Living Color was basically like a parody show on TV. And one of his favorite movies that he did was Liar, Liar. That's one of my favorite movies. I remember smoking weed and watching that movie several times. Okay, Liar, Liar. It was when he basically lied to everybody. He was a lawyer, and his child made a wish in the beginning of the movie that his father could never lie, because his son was tired of being disappointed by his father's lies. Because his father would lie because his version of success was being a partner in a law firm and winning every case. And so his child makes this wish. And sure enough, it's the movies. This wish comes true. And Jim Carrey can't lie anymore. So now he's telling everybody the truth. And he's losing some friends. And some of that shit was funny. I like when he was in the boardroom and he told off everybody. I like that. And so at the end of the movie, what he learned through his failure, because he did fail, that his version of success, one, was wrong. He valued the wrong things. And two is, honesty was actually healing. Even though he had really burned a lot of bridges, and even though he was very abrupt in how he was honest, the lesson was, when you're honest about failure and when you're honest about yourself, you don't win every case, but you win in life as far as living a good quality life. And you have to value the right things, not just business things. And that was powerful. I say all that to say, I get a little long-winded here. Jim Carrey. We know him to be a comedic legend. Yes, like I just said. But Carrey, who grew up extremely poor, didn't have his fame handed to him. At the age of 15 years old, Carey actually worked as a janitor to help his family pay the bills. And during his first appearance at a comedy club in Toronto, he was booed off stage. Now, if you've ever done anything public and if you ever got booed, or, if you ever, do a YouTube channel and get some negative comments, part of that, I've made a video about that. Part of doing what you're called to do means you're going to fail. And even if you don't fail, it means you're going to get some resistance. And so learning how to deal with that is part of success. And like I said, you can't let that shake your confidence. Yes, you can let that make you humble, make you a little bit more humble. That's wisdom. But not to the point where you walk around with your tail between your legs. You won't get to your destiny. Your destiny requires a level of confidence. Compassion, yes. Empathy, yes. But a level of confidence. You need that. Legend note, everyone has to learn to give what you get when you're up against it. Let me read that one more time. Everyone has to learn to give what you got when you're up against it. Yeah, I mean, everyone has to learn how to deal with failure, period. Because it's part of success. I want to see if I can see any more of that. Oprah Winfrey. Let's read her thing. Oprah Winfrey was one of the most successful individuals of our time. Again, you may not like Oprah. I don't like Oprah as far as Weight Watchers. I think that's a whole scam. She bought into that publicly traded company and she's overweight. I think that's a scam. And I don't agree with people she's pumping Weight Watchers to. Big scam, in my opinion. But do what you want. All right. So Oprah Winfrey, one of the most successful individuals of our time, grew up in sheer poverty, born to a single mother living on welfare. Her upbringing was wrought with pain and anguish. She was physically, mentally, and sexually abused during her childhood. She ran away at 13 years old and got pregnant at 14 years old, but she later lost the baby shortly after birth. She was also fired from her first job for being unfit for television. Okay, so Oprah Winfrey, overweight. Some people may say she's not attractive. Groundbreaking. I mean, when you're not what society defines as a successful woman or person, whatever, you're not beautiful enough, you're not skinny enough, and then getting fired from a public thing like television, what's the common thread that she had with the other people we listed? Perseverance. Not then putting her tail between the leg and saying, you know what, I'm not cut out for TV or whatever. So we see these common threads and we can learn from them. Even if we don't like the people, we can learn. Not impressed with the celebrity fame unless it's because of a skill the individual has. That's what Legendo says. And Legendo, I agree with you to an extent, but what I've learned through maturing is also entertaining people is a level of a skill. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the Kardashians, but they're entertaining. So there is a skill in just being entertaining. And there's a gift there. And so, some of it is just to help people escape reality for a little bit, etc., etc. So we have to learn that there's different skills and there's different gifts that all of us have. But I just want to focus on the common thread, which is all of us, no matter what skill, no matter what our looks, we all fail. And so don't feel bad about that. Thank you for sharing, Legendo. Thank you for everyone who's leaving comments. Sylvester Stallone. I like Sylvester. Thank you, Legendo. I see you. Good answer. Thank you, brother. I like Sylvester Stallone. And he's the guy who did the movie Rocky. Stallone's young adult life was incredibly tough. At one point, he was homeless for 3 weeks, living in New Jersey. New Jersey, shout out to New Jersey. That's where I'm from. Living in New Jersey Port Authority bus station. He was also so broke that while writing the script for Rocky, his electricity was turned off. Now, I voluntarily turned my electricity off. I live out of my car, so respect to that. All right. And he was forced to sell his dog for $25. Well, I'm a little pissed about that. I didn't know he sold his dog for $25, but I understand. When you're broke, you can't afford a dog. He was forced to sell his dog for $25 and then turn the lights back on. He was also rejected by talent scouts over 1,500 times. So, one is, I think Sylvester Stallone is a very talented man. I enjoy his movies. He's also a great writer. He's written a lot of those scripts. And certainly, even the movies Rocky themselves, beyond like the boxing part of it, the common theme if you watch all those boxing movies, the common theme, and he even said it in I think it was like Rocky IV when he was outside the restaurant with his son. His son was trying to, his son was like, 18, 19. He was trying to make his own identity. And his son kept blaming his father for the reason he couldn't get out of his shadow, because his father kept wanting to fight again, and there was a lot of media attention, and his son was like, you're making it harder for me in life because people see me and they associate, my life with yours, and I want my own identity. See a common theme here too? You can't blame your parents for anything. Once you're of a certain age, you have to take accountability for your life, and you have to define your own life. And Rocky knew that. So Rocky said to his son, he goes, son, look, don't blame me for your life. If you know your worth, you go out and get your worth. Okay? And he goes, what you'll learn is life is not about how hard you hit. Life is about how hard you can get hit and keep pushing forward. How much you can take and keep pushing forward. And that's wisdom. I've shared that before, but that's wisdom. That's grace. Not easy. So again, compassion. Because it's easy for me to bark all this stuff. But believe me, when I fail, we don't want to hear that. But let these words be seed. One is talk to yourself compassionately and lovingly when you fail. Realize that all people fail. Then heal and push forward. That's wisdom. That's grace. They got the Beatles on here. I'm not going to read that. Thomas Edison. Now I'll read that. Edison, New Jersey. That's actually where Thomas Edison, he's got a museum, and he basically made his mark from New Jersey. Now Thomas Edison also had a winter house in Florida, so me and him must have thought alike, okay? And I was in the electrical contracting, so we must have something like. Let's read Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is by far one of the most famous inventors in history. He holds over 1,000 patents to his name. However, when attempting to invent the commercial electrical light bulb, he failed over 10,000 times. When asked by a reporter how it felt to fail so many times, he merely stated, I have not failed 10,000 times. I have not failed once. I have succeeded in proving that those 10,000 ways will not work. When I have eliminated the ways that will not work, I will find the way that will work. Powerful. Why is that powerful? Do you see how Thomas Edison spoke to himself? The reporter started to define how he should feel. You failed 10,000 times. Don't you feel miserable? That's what she basically said. I mean, you talk about fake news. Fake news was back then too. So here she is. She's interviewing Thomas Edison, and she's basically giving him a guilt trip. And Thomas Edison talks to himself in a compassionate, loving, positive, pushing forward manner. And that'll change your life. That will show you how to deal with failure. Will it make it easy? No. Will it still hurt? Yes. But will that way in which you talk to yourself, will it allow you to heal? Will it allow you to push forward? Amen. Yes, it will. Oh, powerful. I may even have to end on that one. I'll scroll back. I'm going to scroll down to see if I can see any other ones, but that was a good one. I mean, that was a good one. I didn't even know that was coming. That was a good one. Yeah, that's it, because there's just nothing else there. I'm going to leave it at that. Leave it on a high note. I mean, I'm going to still chop it up with you guys a little bit more, but that's powerful. I mean, I think that's the number one takeaway that's really on my spirit, is just how we deal with ourselves. And that's the huge part of failure. In dealing with ourselves well, period. I'm going to have a drink of water to that. I'm going to let that soak in for a minute. Love and respect, man. Grace to everyone out there. If you're at work, if you're on the West Coast, if you're down in Houston, if you're in South Carolina, or if you're in Australia, it's love and respect. Let's know, yes, going down is one thing. It's what you do when you get up. Amen. It is about, Proverbs, I think, was it 27:17 says, the godly may fall 7 times, but they will get up again. I have it tattooed on my back. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. I have those words tattooed on my back. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And that's why I got it tattooed on my back, because when you fall on your back, So for me, that was a reminder. The Greater Deb. And that's we love Deb. Yep, it's the message slash lesson that we take away from our less successful experiences. No doubt. No doubt. That's those are the lessons we take away. And and we get better as we go. When we approach it, at least this is my experience. When we approach it with that mindset. Now the bad news is, like I said, I don't think we ever get to a point in life where we'll never fail. But I think as we learn to deal with failure better, we get better. And I think that's what growing and that's what maturing is about. We're never going to be perfect. But we want to always strive to be better. And that is an example to the world. And it's a better quality life for ourselves. And that's what I'm about. I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to invent the light bulb. My main goal is I want to live a better quality life. And I think as I do that, I'm a better help to society because then I'm able to be a more positive force. And I think that rubs off. I think, when you just live a life in a positive, self-improving way, that's the greatest lesson you can leave behind. Because everyone out there is struggling with failure. And, one of the most things you'll hear very commonly, especially when you speak up and others are scared to speak up, is people say they'll share a similar experience. And they say, man, I thought I was the only one. And so knowing that you're not alone is part of hope. It's part of healing. And that's helpful in your journey. And that's why when you are at a healed place, you can share your failures. This is key too. I want you to listen to this. Someone who is not healed will not share their failures. Pompous, arrogant people will only mainly talk about their success, not their failure. Shame on them. Healed people share their failure. I have failed. I have failed in relationships. I have failed in finances. I have failed in many ways. I've also succeeded, but I failed. And so I'm not better than anyone, okay? And so, yes, we all have different gifts, and some gifts allow us to prosper more in society. But let's also take that into perspective, right? I mean, society at this point in history is pretty much organized around who can best play the game. If we were all on this earth thousands of years ago, you know who would rule? You know who would look most successful? The most brute force. Even some other countries are like that. I mean, the people that are the most successful, defined by society, weren't the smartest, weren't the most compassionate. They were the most brutal people. And that's how you were basically determined to be successful, if you can basically kill all your enemies. Warren Buffett has a quote. Warren Buffett is a famous investor. He said, well, I'm alive during the time period in history where capitalism kind of rewards people who are intelligent enough to, invest wisely, et cetera, et cetera. But Bill Gates often reminds me that if I was born, 3,000 years ago, I would be dinosaur meat. You ever see Warren Buffett's physical stature? He's an overweight, old, frail guy. And, back in the day during the Roman Empire, you'd think he would have been calling the shots? Hell no. I don't care how much he can invest. I don't care how much he knew about long-term mutual funds and long-term railroad stocks. He will fucking, Caesar will fucking have his head off. So some, understand that as humility. Very powerful. Deb, it seems a lot of society, let me understand this right. Let me go back a little bit too. Legend O says, what is one of your strengths and one weaknesses? Well, one of my strengths, I would guess I am a good communicator. One of my weaknesses, is I can be impatient. And sometimes being impatient has caused me to fail. And so I am trying to learn not to rush. I am trying to control myself at a better level. And so I would say impatience has been one of my weaknesses, but I am learning to grow and to be a little bit more patient and not to rush. Great question. Deb, it seems like a lot of society takes the too busy listening. That's okay, Deb. I got you. I got your spirit. Deb, some of the younger people are going back to the garden. Laugh up emoji. I hope that continues. Um, Going back to the garden. Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of hope in the future generation. I see, society more health conscious. I see society learning from mistakes of previous generations. So I have a lot of hope for the next generation. If you look at history, I think now is one of the greatest times to live. I know we got a lot of crap going on, but if you look in context of different time periods in history, what other time period would you want to live in? I think that's a very interesting question. So, people like to bitch and moan, but I would like somebody to pick a specific time period, and then I guarantee you, I can tell you what they would. They may be looking at that time period through rose-colored glasses and a narrow perspective, because, at this time in our, we're at one of the best times as far as, overall. Nothing's perfect, okay. But that's what just I really wanted to share with you. So I want you to always show compassion on yourself, not in a timid way, but in a powerful way to move forward. Legendo says 2,000 years from now. Yeah, Legendo said he would like to live 2,000 years from now. Well, we never know. We never know. That may even be worse. We don't know what the future holds. One thing I was also reflecting on today is that people who want to live in the past and people who live in the future are never happy. Living in the past usually causes pain, and living in the future usually causes anxiety. A disciplined mind, a healthy mind, learns to grab hold of themselves and be present. That's very hard. Like today when I was spending time with my mom, I was very conscious on not to look at my phone too much. And I do a lot of work through my phone and, social media and stuff. So, but I was very through my failures, because there's been plenty of times like I've been with my mother, I've been with loved ones, and I'm constantly checking my phone. I like technology. I think it's a blessing. But again, through maturing, one of my goals is to get better that I am trying to, as much as possible, be present in the moment and enjoying the journey. And people that don't enjoy the journey, they're constantly reaching for something else to make them happy, and that reach never stops. It goes back to that chasing waterfalls mentality. And so we have to be mindful of that, being present. And that's wisdom, and that's grace. Many times in life, you will look back. I've looked back. Let me just use myself as an example. And like I say, where I failed was not being present. That's a failure. Having a mind that is somewhere else when it should be in that present moment. You should be fully engaged with the people that are around you and with the blessing that's in front of you. There would be times that I'd walk on the beach and I was so consumed about I have to live on the beach that I didn't enjoy the beach. There was times when my dog was alive and I was so worried about the XYZ that maybe I didn't enjoy enough time with my dog. There's so many little examples, but little things make up life. And learning to be present and learning to have that mindset is developed through failure of not being present. And then not beating yourself up like, oh, I should have been a better parent. I should have been a better, kid. I should have been a better student. You can't do that to yourself. Talk to yourself well. We can't go backwards. Part of failure is accepting that. Accepting that we can't go backwards. And saying that's okay. What I'm going to do is now try to grow from this point forward. And if I fail again, I'll continue to try to grow. And that's the mindset we need to gear towards. That's very key for a healthy, positive life. Positive life. Very, very important. Deb, all we can do is make the most of whatever we have. I agree with that. And where we are now. Amen. So you kind of just said that. Preach. Yes, enjoy the journey. Amen. Not quotation marks. All we can do. Yes. as we have hopes and dreams still. That's right. I want you to continue to pursue your dreams. I don't want you to look at dreams as like a poster on your wall that it's so far-fetched that your time is over. I mean, don't do that to yourself. Consolidate your life. Get rid of the materialism, get rid of some of the burden in your life, and you can live your dreams still. And that's why I do preach the message of simplifying your life. When you simplify your life, you have a restart. It's like almost a bankruptcy for some of the rich people that play the bankruptcy game. That's what they do. Instead of like getting rid of all the clothes they have in their closet, they get rid of a company that isn't making money and is in debt. And so they do bankruptcy, that debt's wiped out, and then they have a fresh start to start over again. So should you, bitch and moan about that? Look, it is what it is. What you should do is just simplify your life, increase your financial freedom, and live your dream. That's a restart. That's a restart. And it's worth it. Legendo, have you ever been really afraid and why? Certainly in life I've been afraid. I get afraid all the time too. Every time I grow, and I was afraid 2 weeks ago when I was going to Florida. I wasn't scared, but it's like, just afraid to just push past the normal routine of every day. Once you go past your normal 30-mile radius, you get scared. All change is scary, even for someone who is proven and successful. I remember one time I grew up with I grew up in the same area as someone who was famous in the music industry. Her name was Pam. She was from a R&B group called Total. And so she was a very sweet person. We always got along. And when I was doing youth ministry, I had reached out to her. I said, look, Pam, I'm doing some things for the kids. Could you come by and do like a guest appearance and like speak on it? And so she was very gracious. I mean, that's one thing I remember. I mean, I give her a lot of credit. We knew each other when we were young, but, we were never like, super hang out. We just kind of like knew each other. We had common friends. And she was like, Sam, I got you. And so I drove her. I picked her up. We drove to this church to do this like youth rally. And I remember asking her in the car, I said, she was, she performed all around the world. She had a big contract with Bad Boy Records, if you ever know them, Puff Daddy, all those people. And I asked her, we were getting ready to do a youth rally in front of maybe 500 people. I mean, it's like, for her, it's like peanuts. I mean, she performed in front of thousands and thousands of people. I said, Pam, I'm curious, do you still get scared? And she was like, yeah. She still gets scared speaking in front of everybody. I still get scared sometimes when I have to go outside of my 30-mile radius. Fear or being scared will never leave you. So part of failure, part of getting past failure because failure too is a little bit of embedded fear. Failure is once in a while you get up and you do a public speaking event and you suck. Failure is once in a while you do a video and it sucks. Failure is once in a while you take a risk and you blow it. And so now, you can't let that failure embed fear in your being to the point where you don't use your gift. And you don't live your life and you don't pursue your dreams. You have to pursue your dreams. Your dreams are part of your life purpose. They're part of the reason you're still breathing in this world. It's not so you can pay taxes and fucking mow your lawn every day. If you believe that, powerful. Let me read some comments. And that's what John Sailing says, life is short, comma, a blink of an eye. Sailing will testify. This brother lost his wife to cancer. He certainly knows about the brevity, the shortness of life, no doubt. You have to seize the moment. You have to make the most of every opportunity. You can't let failure paralyze you. That's very key. Totally agree with that. Deb, yes, it's amazing to think that big players have the attitude getting rid of companies people's workers means living, the same way that might downsize our closet. Yes, to some extent, that's the bad part of capitalism. To the other extent, to be fair, that's also part of business because, people will claim bankruptcy. It doesn't mean they're evil. I mean, it's a little bit understandable, but then also something new will get built. So the Taj Mahal is just in Atlantic City. The Taj Mahal, which Trump used to own, it went to bankruptcy. His guy, Carl Icahn, bought it out of bankruptcy. And now it's getting ready to be demolished. And now what's going to happen? The Hard Rock Cafe is going to build a brand new casino. So everything in life has seasons. And there's a time to destroy and a time to rebuild. So also, it's part of life. And I don't want to be disingenuous and say that regular people claim bankruptcy too. So I want to be fair, and I want to learn the lesson. What's the lesson? Is the lesson that corporations are evil or Trump is evil? No, I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that all of us fail. And that the common thread to pushing past that is perseverance and talking to yourself well. Presenting to a crowd when you are an expert on a subject is easy. It's when the crowd experts, it gets tricky. Yes, I mean, you never know who's going to be in the crowd. What I learned through public speaking and what I learned is just through maturing. Because whether you're doing a public speaking event, whether you're speaking up in a conference room, or whether you're on a business call, is be yourself. One ways I failed in life, I tried to be the smartest guy in the room. I fucking look stupid. I try to be the most inspiring guy in the world. I don't come, when you are in doubt, go back to being yourself. That will always put you in the right place. Does it mean you always get a good crowd reaction? No. Sometimes I'm totally myself and people don't get it and people don't like it. But you know what? I always feel like I didn't fail. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes when I faked it or when I wasn't being myself, like the appearance looked like I succeeded, but I didn't feel good. I failed. And so when in doubt, be yourself, period. Yes, and life opens up, Salem says. Amen. Amen. And these are good things. These are part of the maturing process. And that's the other thing I want to say with regards to failure. Failure is not a death sentence. Failure is part of the maturing process. When you fail and when you view it through a healthy lens of growth, you use it as an opportunity to mature. And we have all been immature, myself included. And we will still have times of immaturity. But we want to get better over time. And I love the word maturity. Because to me, what that says is I failed. And through my failures, I've grown. I like that. I think that's a blessing. I'm going to have a drink of water. God bless you. Yes. And we go forward in life. And life is about the grace to push forward. And it's about compassion. And it's about love. And I want you to know, even if you overeat, even if you fail in the business, even if you look like an asshole sometimes, I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know God's grace is with you. I want you to know, strive to be better. And that's it. And that's what I want you to know. Talk well to yourself. Stay inspired. Keep other positive people that deal with failure in a healthy manner around your life. And push forward. All right? God bless you and stay inspired.